Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil fajr. So we've established. No, it's okay. Yes. A bit down, yes. This one? This one. Oh. Yes. So we've established, inshallah, that the essential definition of Imamate is Yahduna bi'amrina. It's a guidance through our command. Now there were a few questions yesterday and today. One or two of you emailed, well not you, the listeners had emailed, and I felt this question of Amr, the divine order, still hasn't been digested. So I just prepared another few extra slides, merely just to try to facilitate our understanding on exactly what is at stake here. Imam, they guide through divine order, the divine Amr. This Amr, there was of two types, and we proved, Allah Metabotawi, he proved that it has to be of the providential type, not of the legislative order, like you do Amr bil Ma'ruf, the do's and don'ts, not that. This is something providential in nature. Now there are three examples in the Quran of providential ordering, and all this is Yahduna bi'amri. No, none of these three examples I'm going to give are legislative. They're all providential ordering, and many secrets come out of these verses. I'll explain in a minute. So, the concept of order in this slide here. So, one was the legislative order, and one was the providential or existential order, as they call it, the Takwini Amr. And this Takwini type, there are three categories that you can extrapolate from the Quran. Although there may be more, I'm not saying it's only these three. The first Takwini, providential order type, pertains to a given thing's creation in this world. And here in verse number 82 in Surah Yasin, إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ. إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ. So his order is when he intends something, he says be, and it is. That's not legislative. That's connected to something's coming into existence. It's a providential order. And here Allah creates X, meaning any given thing, through his order. And here, this Amr of Allah is connected only to, is related to the creation of X itself. So in short, Allah brings things into existence through his order. Now Imam is guidance through Allah's order. But this order, one example of it is when Allah wants to create something. His order is in play. And it's not legislative, it's something it's creational, it's bringing something into existence. Be, and it is. Now that is one realm of order, of the Takwini type. Then there's another order of Allah which pertains to subjugation, or as they say in Arabic, the Taskhiri type. And the verse the scholars bring is chapter 16 verse 12, وَسَخَّرَ لَكُمُ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ وَالنُّجُومُ مُسَخَّرَاتٌ بِأَمْرِهِ. Look, again, Amr has been specified. So Allah, He's subjected for you, or the night, the day, all these are subjugated for you, and the sun and the moon and the stars are subjected by His order. Now here, it's not, the order isn't bringing something into existence. That's already done. In this takwini order, after bringing something into existence, like the sun or the moon, here Allah subjugates it. Okay, bringing something, under your control, i.e., actions which emanate from that given thing which Allah has created are now, the actions are through Allah's order. The actions of that thing are through Allah's order. And here, in this category, that thing which has been created and subjugated has no free will. It's giving a lot of actions. The sun, the moon, all are full of actions coming out of it. But they have no free will. The sun doesn't have a free will. The moon, the stars, the day and the night. So here, the order, Allah's divine order, is related to X's not coming into existence, that was the previous one, is related to X's actions, albeit they without free will. That's another providential order, where all the things that the sun and the moon do, it's all through Allah's command, but they don't have any free will. They are subjugated. This is also one application of Amrina. And the Imams, they guide through Allah's command. That's the second type. The sun, the moon, everything through the Imam. And then finally, now this is a bit of a tricky one. You may have come across this verse before. Chapter 17, verse 16. This is also a takwini order. And this takwini order pertains not to the creation of X, or the non-free will actions emanating from X. This pertains to establishment. Now, what does establishment mean here? I'll first go through the verse, then explain a bit, and then I have to show something on the screen. وَإِذَا أَرَدْنَا أَن نُهْلِكَ قَرْيَةً أَمَرْنَا مُتْرَ فِيهَا فَفَسَقُوا فِيهَا فَحَقَّ عَلَيْهَا الْقَوْلُ فَدَمَّرْنَاهَا تَدْمِيرًا. Yes, I thought there was a typing error there. So when we intend, pay very close to the terminologies used now. When we, Allah, intend to destroy a city, we order here. Amarna, again, is dealing with Amr. This is the third class of providential ordering. We order its affluent people. We order them. Then look at the Quran here. Hence, look at the translations. They don't translate it as hence here. Here, hence is a translation of the particle fasagu. They translate it in a different way. When we want to destroy a city, we order its affluent. A consequence, the of subsequence, remember? Hence, they defiantly disobey therein. So the word comes into effect upon it, the city, the town, and we destroy it with complete destruction. This order, we order, is it legislative or providential? Does anyone want to? Yes? Yeah. Yes, I mean, it's naturally, it is providential because I've told you it's the third class of the providential. But why isn't it legislative? If someone answers this, at least I know someone. Okay, don't worry. Okay. There's one fourth example too. I'll bring. So here too, Amr is connected to X's actions. X here is the affluent people. It's connected to their actions, and here the affluent, they have free will. Okay? And Allah now is ordering them providentially, people who have a free will. And here what this means is Allah grants not only a free will to them, but Allah grants them the power to establish something, have the power to do something. Allah gives them that power. That's a providential ordering. Where did they get the power from? Okay, the action that they did was haram. That's something else. It may be on a par with Allah's satisfaction. That action may not be on a par with Allah's satisfaction. But who gave the power? And that giving of power, it's a providential order. And it's based on their potential. Allah misguides yudhillu man yasha. Allah misguides those who want misguidance. He gives the power. You spent it in that way. Now look here, if I can just, only one point I want to mention here. That this we order, when you look at the commentaries, they may say it's a legislative order. When you look at the translations, that's the first thing which comes to mind. It's a legislative, we order, it's affluent. If Allah is ordering the affluent, it says that fa-fasadu. This fa means hence. It's the fa of subsequence. Therefore, it's subsequent to Allah's ordering. It doesn't make sense for Allah to legislatively give an order and then the subsequent reaction to it is they go against it. If Allah was to give a legislative order, then if it was, then it says, as a result, therefore, hence, Allah gives a legislative order, do this or don't do this. And then the Quran says, therefore, hence, they were corrupt. That doesn't make sense. When it says we order the affluent, you can't say their corruption is a result of Allah's legislative ordering. That doesn't make sense here. Their doing corruption is not a consequence of Allah's legislative ordering. They're not related. So it can't be a legislative ordering. But if it's a providential ordering, where Allah gives them the power, the knowledge, the money, the everything, that's providential ordering. And so we ordered the affluent. They got what they want. And what? Then on a par with their potential nature, hence, after getting the providential order, hence, they then disobeyed their thing. That makes much more sense. The Bidens of the world, the Johnsons, the Trumps, everyone, this verse is showing, look, you haven't exited Allah's jurisdiction. All the Jabbareen of the world say, look, you haven't, we've given you all of it. It's just that you spent it in the wrong way, on a par with your potential nature. But you've never exited the providential order of Allah. Whoever you are, Pharaoh, Namrud, and so on and so forth. This shows this. So, the providential order was given, the result was they committed corruption inside the city, because that's who they were. It was on a par with their inner potential. And the Imams also are intermediaries of this order to people. Now, either they lead you to your destination, which is salvation, or that of wretchedness. Okay, now, there's one last verse, the story of Dhul Qarnayn, and there's a reason why this story, I'm mentioning it. It'll come later, the rationale why I'm giving this particular story. And here, in chapter 18, verses 84 to 86, indeed we established him, Dhul Qarnayn, upon the earth, and we gave him a way for everything. For everything, we gave him a way to attain to that. So he followed a way, one of many for something, until when he reached the setting of the sun, he found or perceived the sun as if it was setting in a spring of dark mud. You know, when you look at the sun, sometimes sunset is as if it's going into the ocean or whatever. And he found near it a people. Allah said, this is the major point here, O Dhul Qarnayn, either you punish them or adopt among them goodness. Is this legislative or providential? Pardon? Providential. Why? It's providential, okay, but why is it providential? Yeah, so why isn't it legislative? Oh, here, I've given the answer there, yes. The answer, yes, I just realized this. So it can't be legislative. No. Why? Because it says either or. Legislative, either do good or do bad. Here, it's you either punish them or you adopt goodness with them. This is just a continuation of, indeed we established him upon the earth. This third group of providential order is called Tamkini, which means pertaining to establishment. They establish things on earth. Establishment is part of that providential order. And this is a continuation of that. So it's providential order pertaining to the establishment through Allah's order. Now, some of them, they have to be punished because of that inner potential they have, and Dhul Qarnayn punishes them. With some, through Allah's command, again, He will adopt goodness because of their potential nature. So depending on what your nature is, you may be punished, or you may be given good, or good will be done to you. So this too, Dhul Qarnayn also was yahduna bi'amrina. You can see this from this verse. It seems that he also was an Imam. He had reached the status, such a status. Okay, now this has another important point, but we have to move on a bit before I can come to that. Okay, so this slide is just a summary then of part of yesterday's lecture. So this verse can be looked at in two different ways. It's the same verse, but can be looked at two different ways. And they both indicate the gift factor that Allah has gifted Imamate. This station of Imamate, only Allah has. This guidance through, it's Allah's command. No one else can even approach it. Allah is the independent person who guides. So when He allows someone to manifest it, it's a gift. No one can deserve it. Yes, He gifts it to those who have reached a certain threshold. So He says they can succeed in this field. Otherwise, it's not a cause and effect direct thing. Now, in both of these, here, if you look at the gift factor, it says, قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ. Allah said, that. Verily I am assigning you. This qala, we said, Allah didn't say faqala. If the fa particle was used, then the giving of imam, the assignment of imamat would have been a consequence of the test. So either way you look at the verse, the gift factor does predominate in any case. However, in the adverbial clause, the ibtala, when being the adverb, ibtala succeeding the adverb, we said this has to be absorbed in a subject, which has to be an action. I don't want to go through all that again. If you say ibtala is related to qala, it's as if you would have to read the verse like this. The translation would be, and when his Lord tested Ibrahim with words and he completed them, qala, he said when he tested Ibrahim with words, inni ja'iluka, because ibtala, the adverbial clause, is absorbed in the qala. So qala is a link between the two sentences. This shows that there is a cause and effect relation between the test and the assignment of imamat. The absence of the fa particle compensates for that. However, the Urafa choose the second route. Ibn Arabi, ibtala, he says, no, it's not absorbed in the qala, it's related to udhkuru. And the proof of that is two verses before, when it says udhkuru ni'mati allati an'amtu alayhim. And here, therefore, the sentence there's no faqala, so the gift factor with the absence of the fa particle is there, but now there's nothing connecting the two sentences. It says, recall when your Lord tested Ibrahim with the words and he completed them. He said, I'm going to give you imamat. There's no fa particle, and now there's nothing absorbed in the qala either. So the disconnection is more prominent, and this makes the gift factor more prominent. Okay, that was just a quick summary of yesterday's. Okay, so let's see, continuing with the okay, the next. So we've covered wa, we covered id, and now ibtala. This ibtala is translated as a test, when he tested. But if you want to be very literal, the translation would be like this. Recall when his Lord, worn Ibrahim down. You know, when people wear someone down, they exhaust someone. Because balaya, which is the root word of ibtala, is a state of deterioration, wear and tear. That's the literal meaning. Wear and tear. You know, when a coat undergoes wear and tear, the hidden characteristics of the coat become disclosed when it wears down, when it deteriorates. If you wear someone down, exhaust them, their inner qualities which were hidden would be disclosed. So why do we translate it as tested? Because it doesn't mean test. It's a corollary to testing. The translation is he worn him down. But since wearing someone down discloses, reveals inner qualities of that person or thing, it's like you've tested them and they've come out, successful in this test. Maybe they may fail, but here it was a pass. So here it's a state of deteriorating. Balaya, that's the root meaning. Now, with Arabic, we have a root word, but we have a number of paradigms, word patterns. the pattern itself, irrespective of what root word you want to fit in and enter the paradigm itself has a meaning. This, I don't think we have too many languages like this. So you have a root meaning, means wear and tear. This is fitted into a paradigm. I'm not going to go through the morphological, that will take 15 minutes, and I don't think you'll be very interested. But the paradigm is called the Ifta'al paradigm. And every paradigm has its own meanings. Some paradigms have 30 different meanings. Some paradigms have 10. And then this root word, which here means wear and tear, you put it into a paradigm which has its own meaning, its meaning into meaning, so a new meaning will now evolve. This is one of the sweet things of, Arabic grammar. Yes. In the home, for the first 3 years, we only did Arabic grammar. Nothing else, no fiqh, no aqaid, nothing. We only did Arabic grammar for 3 years. It was very challenging, yes, it was. Because when you only do Arabic grammar for 3 years, if you don't have the proper ethical training, it can be destructive. And we have traditions, I've seen the tradition, whoever becomes over preoccupied with nahu, which is syntax, yes, halak, they'll be destroyed. And this has an interpretation, but I don't want to, that's something you say behind the microphone. So, yes, here, wear and tear goes into the Ifta'al paradigm. One of the meanings of the Ifta'al paradigm, so when balaya is fitted into this paradigm, it becomes ibtila. And here it says, وَإِذِبْتَلَى ibtila. One of the meanings is being a recipient of something, accepting of something. So, when his Lord warn Ibrahim down, Ibrahim was accepting of this wear and tear. This, you get it from the words here, look, these are all literal deductions, it's all from the actual Arabic. Also, this paradigm, since it has 2 additional supplementary letters to the root word balaya, it indicates hyperbole, which means a lot of. That's 2 meanings now. So here, the translation becomes something like this now. And recall when his Lord intensely and thoroughly wore Ibrahim down. Bikalamatin, through his words, we'll come to that in a minute later. Look how this is a translation. This would be a translation. When you use the word tested, you've entered commentary now. That's a commentary. Sometimes you want to give a literal translation. Yes. Well, unfortunately, 95% of the translations we have of the Quran, they're all commentaries. None of them are translations. And that's a whole different discussion, but I just refer to one example. And recall when his Lord, although I forgot to mention this, why does it say his Lord? Why is Rububiyyah mentioned here? Before Allah's giving of Imamat and assigning Imamat, there's a reason why Allah's Rububiyyah is mentioned here. What does Rab mean? Rab. It seems that the best translation would be Lord. It has many meanings. Custodian, master, benefactor. Arabs use all these for Rab. mentor, for example, a murabbi, and many others. All these are different meanings, but all of them are applications of a universal essential meaning, and that is possessor, but possessor of the absolute type. One who is the absolute possessor over something. When you're a custodian, you're in possession of something in non-absolute terms. When you're a teacher, murabbi, a mentor, you're in possession, but not in absolute terms. When you're a custodian, you're in custody of someone, it's under your custody, but not in absolute terms. But when you say Rab, I'll use it alone, here, without any other stipulation, it's an absolute possession. A given thing is totally under your disposal. And that's why it seems Lord is a good translation. Because Lord has that in it. An absolute possession over someone or something. And nurture is another meaning for Rab. But nurturing too has a degree of possession. Nurturing is when you take A to B. You nurture A and generate it so it reaches its destination B. You're nurturing it. Here, you're possessing A to some degree to make it to go to B. Now with the teacher, you have the knowledge of the child is under your disposal, the mind of the child, for example. You're controlling it to nurture them. But with Allah, He's the absolute possessor. When someone is the absolute possessor of something or someone, he knows what order to give for that person to reach their perfection. And that person shouldn't take the order of anyone but the absolute possessor. When the Quran speaks of Pharaoh being the Rabb for his people, because the people took Pharaoh's laws rather than listening to the laws of Allah. Me and you too. When you live, for example, in a country which has a defense sector which is killing Muslims, and you are giving your taxes to them, that's not Islamic. That's not an Islamic law. But you're silent in that country. You're saying nothing. And you're living very comfortably there. And the usurping and pillaging of different countries and the wealth coming back to you in the UK or in America, you're comfortable with it. You're living off that. Where's Islam there? Your Rabb isn't Allah. This is a form of shirk. The Rabb can only be the absolute possessor. That's the definition of Rabb, absolute possessor. You can't take from other than the absolute possessor. No one but the absolute possessor can assign you as an Imam, can assign you with a duty. People cannot assign someone as an Imam. Not even the Prophet can assign Amirul Mu'mineen as the Imam. Amirul Mu'mineen cannot assign Imam Hassan as the Imam. They don't have that right. Only Allah can assign. And if the Holy Prophet assigns Amirul Mu'mineen as the Imam, or Amirul Mu'mineen assigns Imam Hassan, it's through divine order. They're just reflecting Allah's order. Yahduna bi'amrina. Otherwise, you can't. So that's why Rabb is used here. It's connected with the idea of the Rabb can only assign Imamate, no one else. And here you see the Rabb is also nurturing Ibrahim through the tests, and Ibrahim passes a certain threshold. Now the Rabb gives and assigns this status. Okay. Now here we see that وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ. Ibrahim is the object. The verb is ibtala. The subject of the verb is Allah here. Rabbuhu. Usually the subject follows the verb in Arabic. But here Ibrahim has preceded, which is the object. For example, you say, well, in English it's not like in Arabic, but in English you say, I eat oranges. Oranges is the object. It comes after the subject, which is I. Now in Arabic though, the verb comes first, then the subject comes. It's a bit different. But anyway, the object always follows the subject. Here the object precedes the subject. It says ibtala, tested. Who tested? It says tested Ibrahim, his Lord. It should have been, usually you say إِذِ ابْتَلَى رَبُّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ. The problem with that would have been then the who pronoun suffix to Rab in Arabic. So in Arabic, if this Rabbuhu was here, Rabbuhu, where would this revert to? Every pronoun in Arabic, you have to see where it reverts back to. If this was here, Ibrahim was there. If you bring this who with Rab and say in ibtala Rabbuhu and say, okay, where does this who go back to? It goes back to Noah because Ibrahim is after it. You could have said in ibtala Allah Ibrahim, there's no problem there. But you brought the pronoun who. So that has to come after. Making Ibrahim come before. So now this who, you bring it to Ibrahim. When his Lord tested, this his who goes back to Ibrahim. It's not a very major point. The interesting point though is that Ibrahim, by preceding Rabbuhu, it does show the azama, the importance of Ibrahim. So even in your translation, if you were to say, and when his Lord warned him down, warned Ibrahim, even if you were to say, when his Lord warned the noble Ibrahim down, because nobility is extrapolated when Ibrahim precedes Rab. It's the focus on Ibrahim here. That Allah wants you to focus on it. So there's a nobility which one can extrapolate here. So now the translation would be something like this. That, if I can just find it. And recall when his Lord intensely and thoroughly wore the noble Ibrahim down through the kalamat. Okay. The next point. In the verse, we see that it speaks of his Lord, the third person pronoun, his Lord. It's third person, his. When you say you, your second person. You say I, first person, in English grammar. And then the verse continues and then says, قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ. Allah said, verily I am assigning you. So there's a pronoun switch from third person to second person. Sometimes it's from third person to first person. Sometimes it's from second person to third person. Here it's an example of third person to second person. And every pronoun switch has a meaning in Arabic. Yes, there's a meaning. Yes. And here they say, with third person to second person pronoun switches, usually it's indicating a huzur, a presence that the person is making before Allah. Now when Allah said, when He tested His Lord, when His Lord tested Ibrahim, then says, Allah said, verily I am assigning you. So from His, the third person, is now switched to you. There's a focus now. Do you know, when I speak with you, you're in my presence when I'm speaking with you. You're the second person. When I say, referring to a brother, he came, for example, he's absent now, he's not with us. When he comes inside the room and say, you, there's a presence acquired now, which I didn't have before. After the tests, Ibrahim acquired a certain level, a different level of closeness with Allah. And this pronoun switch is indicating this. So the proximity with Allah was of a different nature. And the grammarians extrapolate this truth from the pronoun switch. That's it. Now we have ahadith too, which show it. But remember, ahadith are sayings of the Imams. Where do the Imams get their knowledge from? It's from the Quran. Everything is nothing, no hadith is outside the Quran. Well, it shouldn't be, unless it's made up or, you know. Okay, so that was another point which I wanted to mention. The next point is bikalamat. So His Lord, when His Lord tested Ibrahim with kalamat. What does kalamat mean? This kalama, the root word, means when you express, reveal, express something which was hidden. You know, words with kalameh, it's translated as words, because when you speak and give a speech, kalam, something which was hidden in you is now expressed through these words. So the words were hidden. They've become expressed. That's the root meaning of kalam. When a leg is injured and it swells, the swelling is indicating, revealing pain, for example, or inflammation. That swelling, in Arabic, they say kalama again. Now, when Allah creates a being, a thing, which wasn't known to us, it says be and it is, and now it comes, He's expressing, manifesting something which was concealed, to us at least. And therefore everything that you see is kalimatullah. Every contingent thing that you see, Allah has manifested it. It was unknown to us. So, every kalama, so it has many words, but I've given you the universal meaning of it. It's a manifestation. The meaning of manifestation has to be there, or an indication, or an expression of something which was concealed, unknown to you. And here, in the chapter 31, verse 27, وَلَوْ أَنَّمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ مِنْ شَجَرَةٍ أَقْلَامٍ. If all the seas on earth, if all the trees on earth were pens, وَالْبَحْرُ يَمُدُّهُ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ سَبْعَةُ أَبْحُرٍ. And the seas, one after the other, 7 times over, were like the ink for writing. مَا نَفِدَتْ كَلَمَاتُ. It'll never end. You see? What I say, if you translate it here as words, that's not going to be very... Words is one of the applications of kalam. Allah says, go through the whole Quran, wherever you see kalam, it's never words. And if you look at the translation of the Quran, the only thing they use is words. What's the problem here? It's a problem. Then it says بِكَلَمَاتٍ. This بِكَلَمَاتٍ here. This sign here. In Arabic we say tanween. In English, naturally there won't be a very good translation, but we call it in English a noonation because it's a noon. When you read it, بِكَلَمَاتٍ, it's an N. So N in Arabic is noon, and this process of tanween, we say it's noonation. It's a word they use. Yes. No, they do use it. So, this noonation is indicative of something in the indefinite sense. Look, sometimes you say a man, okay? Rajulun. This that's a noonation too. We say this noonation indicates a man in the indefinite sense. You say a man. You don't say the man. If you say the man, it's saying the man in a definite sense. This is an indefinite article here. Say a man. When you say a man, sometimes you can mean it in a manner where you're exalting it. He is a man. Sometimes you can use it to belittle them. He's just an ordinary man. And we have that in English too. Here though, because the context shows us with kalamat being nunated, is showing that these were very exalted. These kalamat were very exalted. Now, what did we translate kalamat as? Manifestations of Allah. So it has to be something here. It has to be something in this external world. It's not something within the person, it's outside the person. It has to be one of Allah's created things. He was worn down through these manifestations of Allah. What were they? The slaughtering of Ismail was one of them, for example. They were very difficult tests he had. It wore him down. I think to say wore him down is better than worn him down, although there may be a similarity. But that wear and tear is there. So, slaughtering Ismail wore him down. And there were other tests too. We may speak about them. It's not something too important, but for our purpose right now. But they were very big tests. You can tell that the exalted nature of the test because of the nonation. So they were mighty tests. Because some people say the tests were just 10 rituals. And most of them are mustahab rituals. Like cutting the nails or that kind of thing, trimming the beard. Well, that's not going to make anyone can do that. Some books of tafsir, especially from other denominations, they give very simple things. This was a very big test, very exalted test, and it actually wore him down. Now, then it says, so look, and recall when his Lord wore Ibrahim down with certain things in this world happening. One of the example of the slaughtering of Ismail. Then it says, فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ. Now, this is quite a tricky area. So, with your permission, because this has many elements to it, I'll explain this tomorrow. Right now, I just want you to focus on the pronoun here. Fa means therefore. Atamma, he completed. Hunna, you know what that means? Hunna. Them, it's plural. Now, this hunna, it's suffix to atamma, it's connected. Can hunna in Arabic be used independently? Here it's used, it's connected to the verb, suffix to it. Can it be used alone, independent? The answer is yes. That has a meaning. Pronouns which can be used independently indicate an external reality. So when it says فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ, the hunna is in relation to kalamat. And the kalamat is something which happened in the external world. Now why do I say that? Because in the story of Nabi Adam alayhi salam, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ, when Allah taught Adam the names al-asma'a kullaha, all of them. Now ha is referring to the names. Kullaha. Is ha an independent pronoun, or is it always connected? The answer is it's always connected. It's never used independently, like hunna. So when the names were taught, it was inside Adam. But then the verse continues, ثُمَّ أَرَدَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Then Adam offered hum, the names, to the angels. Hum. Is hum an independent pronoun or not? It is. So asma is referred to as ha, which is not independent. Something inside Adam happened. Then when he offered it to the angels, it says hum. There's something outside him now happening. Look, it's all from the words. We get this, yes. So here, ثُمَّ أَرَدَهُمْ, that hum is in relation to asma, but the manifested external realities which were offered to the angels couldn't understand. Okay. But that kullaha, all of the names, that is something which he was taught inside Adam. His heart was a recipient of that. But when he offered it, it wasn't a case of him offering it inside the angels. He showed the angels the realities of the names. Okay, now I'll just leave you with this question, and tomorrow, because this is a bit complicated again. And recall when his Lord tested Ibrahim with the manifestations, then fa, the form particle of subsequence, he completed them. Who does the he go back to? Think about it. Who is he? Is it Allah or is it Ibrahim? There's a very big controversy here. Allah will say something, or he says another thing. It's a bit hectic, it takes a bit of time, inshallah tomorrow. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala